My name is Justine Rosenthal. I'm the editor of The National Interest, and we are here today with David Kaye, an author for The National Interest, who often writes for us on Iran and Iran's nuclear program, and we're going to talk today about what the future may hold. We hear Ahmadinejad raising a fury.
As is his wont.
As is his wont. So, David, as everyone knows, you were integral to all of the inspections regimes in Iraq, Part 1 and Part 2. It looks like we are gearing up in some ways for a standoff with Iran that may or may not mirror the Iraqi experience. What do you think is going to happen with the Iranian nuclear program?
Well, I think the Iranians are going to proceed with their program. The question, and the really critical question, is how fast and to what point. It's very hard from the outside. It's even hard with international inspectors there because of the way they mask their program and limit the role of inspectors there to know exactly how fast they're going. It's extraordinary. They've spent 25 years pursuing nuclear weapons and have not yet achieved it. South Africa did it in less time. North Korea did it in less time. Pakistan did it in less time. So clearly it's a program that has had fits and starts, but it is one that looks like it's broad-based in terms of producing fissile material. It's got already a missile force that is far more effective than any other belligerent.
What do you think the problem is? I mean, when you say that all of these other countries, I mean, Pakistan doesn't seem like it's all that much more sophisticated than Iran in terms of technology. What's going on?
Well, Pakistan was interesting. They had a large input of foreign technology at the beginning. AQ Khan essentially stole a design. They had effective help from the Chinese, who gave them a warhead design and help in their centrifuge program. And they had relatively ready access to natural uranium that they have in their own country. The problem the Iranians are having is their actual technical base is not as strong as it should have been manufacturing. It's a problem of a lot of oil-producing countries. You get hooked on the easy money and you don't build up the rest of your economy. The second is they have essentially no known supplies of domestic uranium. So they have a hard time getting uranium, and that limits the speed. The third thing is they chose to go a uranium route as opposed to a plutonium route. The North Koreans went plutonium. Uranium enrichment is a very difficult scientific and engineering task. They had an early centrifuge design. It's called the IR-1 or IR-2, but neither were very good designs, and so they've had to cope with that as they try to produce more and more material. None of these problems are showstoppers. Mm-hmm. They're more show slower downs. Eventually they will achieve.
If I had to put your feet to the fire and say, how long until this happens?
Well, that's a critical question, is timing and pace of it. I think you ought to realize that certainly a year from now, 12 months from now, they probably will have enough Heinrich uranium to produce one single device. But that's not really the concern. The concern is how long before they have a family of, say, 12 to 20 or 25 weapons. I think that is, and on the ends of missiles that are capable of going long distances, I think that remains a 5 to 7 year task for them. But the further you go, the more critical that becomes to neighbors and friends and allies of the United States.
Right, well, it's certainly unclear that just one, that the Israelis or anyone else in the neighborhood is going to say, well, it's just one, and we've got 5 to 7 years until they have a family of them, so we won't really worry about it.
No, I don't think nuclear weapons is something you worry about even when they don't have them, when you have a state like Iran pursuing them. I think the Iranians ought to realize that having one nuclear weapon is a very, very hazardous to health and national survival state, because the Israelis or someone else, including the United States, may decide they can't run that risk and take military action. Now, I think that would be an unwise course. Let me be clear, I'm not in favor of a military attack on the Iranians over their nuclear program. But I think it does mean we have time both to try to slow the program down and perhaps reverse it. And we have time to put arrangements in place which would mean achieving, say, 10 nuclear weapons would give Iran no substantial advantage, but in fact impose really severe costs of them. I think that's what we ought to be thinking about now.
And what is that, providing a nuclear umbrella to allies in the Middle East? Is it trying to get, what we're hearing is what now, a crushing sanctions regime, a crippling sanctions regime? What are those steps that we
Well, it may be a lot of steps. I think, in fact, a sanction regime that puts a high cost on the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is something that is all to the good. It raises the cost. No, I think what you want to do in the region is ensure that they're not intimidated. Nuclear weapons are not instruments of military usefulness. Quite frankly, you imagine a situation in which the Iranians fired nuclear weapons at someone in the region or Israel. The response would be the end of Iranian civilization as they know it. So, but what you worry about is the political intimidation, or will it set off another round of proliferation in the region? So I think you want to concentrate on ensuring that regional states understand that proliferation on their part is not an appropriate response, that yes, there will be security and defense guarantees, but equally important, and we forget this often, containment came in vogue in discussing the Soviet Union in 1947. It was George Kennan that did it. But Kennan said later in life he never intended that containment be only a military response, that it was important to build up the economic, political, and social institutions of Western Europe so they could stand up against intimidation. I think the thing is even more true today in the Middle East. An Iranian nuclear program should be a powerful catalyst for states like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Republic, Oman, Jordan, and others to realize they need to modernize and learn to cooperate and strengthen their institutions so that there is no danger of Iranian political intimidation. There's no great advantage to it. I would like to see far more intense collaboration and cooperation on economic, social issues across the Gulf of states so that Iran realizes it can't use those weapons effectively.
Do you think that, we always talk about the downsides of the Iranian nuclear program, so it's always what we hear. Part of what you're saying, it sounds like to me, is that there may be, at the tail end, an optimistic way to think about this, which is it may finally motivate a lot of the Middle Eastern states to do things that they have not been willing to do, that we have wanted. Liberalization, modernization. That's not going to come from U.S. pressure. There's only going to come from the fear of an Iranian Shia threat.
I would certainly hope that is one prospect. It's even true in the military area. We talk often about the conventional military capability of Iran. Actually, there's far more military capability on the other side of the Gulf, but they don't cooperate with each other. Saudis don't cooperate with the UAE, they don't cooperate with Oman, and vice versa. There is not a level of inter-Arab collaboration on military, economic, social, environmental issues. And in fact, to stand up to Iran and to take away the sting of its nuclear weapons, it's going to require both military, economic, social, and political cooperation.
David, thank you so much for being with us today. We hope to have you again soon, maybe under different circumstances.
Maybe about a different country.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.